like process with the BCRG can be reevaluated, and we can kind of reconsider. Like so far, we've actually just used Curious Rabbit's YouTube channel. It's called Down the Rabbit Hole, I think, something like that. And he just puts together playlists. So like we have a playlist that is the series with Mark Richardson, and then we'll have a playlist with the series with Stefan. But I feel like we could do better, because like that whole YouTube channel is not branded as BCRG. It's branded as like Curious Rabbit. It's like Curious Rabbit's brand, and he's also become less active in the BCRG. He's been traveling, and then he also runs a consulting business, and he's been really busy the last like 6 months or so. And so I think moving the whole media infrastructure like into the TEC, like having a BCRG playlist on the TEC YouTube channel could make a lot of sense. It might like streamline the operations, and then we also just have more control, and it could probably be easier to do like promotion and marketing and stuff like that. So I think combining the infrastructure could make sense. I would want to bring this to the BCRG team and like, kind of propose that, but I feel like it would get support. And yeah. I think we could go back also and get, because we have some really good content from like Octopus did a series, and then Mark Richardson did a series, and I think Jeff did 1 or 2 sessions as well. And I think it'd be cool to like really leverage that, go back and get that content, and we could even release it like one at a time or something, or I don't know, there might be a strategical way to like get the most leverage out of what's already been produced.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really, really interesting. I'm pretty sure, Nate, that you might have like a lot of ideas in regards to this. Maybe this is where Beam starts playing out certain role on this. I'm not sure, but
yeah, we're kind of finalizing the Beam application right now, and we're gonna have it on watch.tecommons.org as the domain that is set up for that Beam app.
Wow.
And it's going to be kind of token gated for all the token engineering content. I just need to figure out some of the legal issues of just getting permissions from authors who are considered the authors of these videos to actually host it on the Beam application. So there's not any type of like liability or fear of liability of that. But just openly sharing kind of the Bonding Curve Research Group, as well as the numerous amount of token engineering podcasts and kind of X spaces. I know Octopus has had a ton of spaces, and so is Nate at Eat Sleep Crypto, and Dr. Nick, and a bunch of people all over the place have created a lot of great TE content that we can upload and put behind the token engineering kind of token gated video structure. So I'm hoping to get that launched this week. Been talking with the team. We were just trying to finalize the last couple bits of it, so we have a working application, and then we can start uploading files. But that means we have to find the files and download them and re-upload them to IPFS, and go through that process. But I think it's going to be worth it to do something like this. Just drive token utility, but also just get all the content that we know and love and put it in a central place. That way we can start promoting and having that strategic promotion of, Bonding Curve Research Group videos and things like that.
To me, that sounds like a great idea. And to me, it sounds like a good use of time, energy, and even money. Like I've been saying this at the BCRG for a long time, because we get income, we get like funding from the TEC, from Gitcoin rounds, and now from Optimism. And I've always said, like, I think having a budget for media curation, like even video editing and things like that, I feel like that's kind of the most effective use of capital, because it doesn't cost a lot. Like you can pay someone, a moderate, like a moderate hourly wage to just do this kind of stuff, like uploading content and even doing video editing. And I feel like it's a really high bang for buck. Hey, Gideon.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, a little bit late. We're actually, yeah, I'll tell you later.
So yeah, Nate, I support that. I think that's really exciting. I think it's a effective use of time, energy, and capital. And I haven't heard of Beam before. How does it work with the token gating? Do you just have to like hold tokens, or do you have to spend tokens?
There's a bunch of different ways you can handle the video. So each video you can have your own access requirements. It can be a voucher. It can be just hold 50 tokens. TEC tokens is what we're gonna have at first. So, but yeah.
Oh, did you say 15 tokens?
Or 50. I was gonna set it at 50, but it can be any number.
That's so cool.
And you can do it on video by video basis too.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have more time to talk about the Beam and
comms.
In comms, yeah. So I don't know. I was also waiting for Tam to join to facilitate the retro, but I guess we can probably get started. Gideon, was there something you wanted to mention before, or should we just like jump right into it?
Oh yeah, I don't know what to do about this. I just, this Octant grant. Basically, we were in the running, and then somebody just gave a bunch of money to some other project, and so now we're out of the running. You have to hit a certain threshold in order to get any funding. And I'm trying to decide whether it's worth like scrambling to try to like do a big push on this. It just seems, I don't know. I might. So that's what I was doing, was trying to figure that out. We have a week, but I think people are voting for, they're voting this week. So I'm just trying to decide how much to drop to do this. So anyway, sorry, that's why I was trying to figure this out.
Well, that's pretty sad. That's a shame. I thought that we already met that threshold, but I guess it's kind of like a moving threshold depending on how much it's allocated. Is that how it works?
That's right. Yeah, it's like, I think 1/48th or something like that. You have to get at least one. I think it's 1/48th of the total funds that have been allocated. If you slip below that, then you get nothing. So we just slipped below that.
What is the threshold now? I remember. I think we were like around 8 ETH.
Yeah, it's actually it's a very small amount. It's 0.03 ETH is what we have right now, and we have to get up to 0.0366. And we're at 0.0342. So it's not a lot, but it's just finding the people and figuring that out, like figuring out how we get somebody to just shift a little bit of funding. And then, yeah, that's the problem. So I'm trying to decide whether to go do a post in their Discord or go onto their forum. So that's what that's the midst of it right now. And that then would, if we got it, it would probably be about 8 ETH in the grant.
Okay, I see how it works. Well, yeah, maybe this is also another good topic for the comms call. We can talk about that there.
Unfortunately, today I have a conflict with that call, so I'm not going to be able to make that. But I'll let you know if there's anything that we need to jump on. Let me just see. I gotta spend a little bit of time this morning on this.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, maybe it's worth that. Efra tries to make some push this week. If it's not a big difference, that we need to reach for the threshold, maybe it's still worth it. But yeah, you just let us know. Okay. Well, we are already like 20 minutes in the call. I don't know if you guys have been able to access the sprint board. If not, I guess I can share the link. But probably you all guys should have it, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to clean it up. Yes.
Are you talking about the retro or the sprint board?
The retro. It's just that I didn't have the board ready, so I was just doing that right now. Okay, so at least we have the first one. Yeah, so maybe we can just get started, like try to use these 40 minutes as best as we can, and just start with the first section. We're using the structure that Tam suggested last sprint. I think it worked pretty well. We just have to change some of the titles. Instead of what is working about Scrum, it's what is working. Oh, how would you describe it? What did it work during the last sprint or something like that, just to be able to focus it on the last 2 weeks of the sprint, and then go from there. Does that sound good? Should I start the timer?
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah, then I'll start the timer, and you guys can start. We can start all writing. Do you guys need any more time, or we're good to start sharing?
I'm just adding one more quick thing, but go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I also want to add one more thing, but maybe Nate, would you like to get started?
Sure, just reading it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to give a quick read and then some comments if you have some. If not, I guess we can just keep moving.
Oh yeah, no, I thought we had a really good week in terms of the BCRG study session. I thought that was really awesome. I wasn't expecting it to be as great as it was. And then the strategy stuff, I thought we did really good in communicating it. Seems like we're going to keep pushing for more communication around some of the options, in particular um, the token engineering audit approach. So it's good that we're kind of really evaluating everything that's in front of us from that perspective, and the communication between the coordination team and TCAN has been really good. So I think those are the big points this week. So I'll pass it over to you, Gideon.
Yeah, I was happy to have a good conversation with Angela this week. It's a hopeful sign, potential collaboration without like tying ourselves too tightly. Super happy about EFRA. I think that the strategy stuff, I think if we can, if in the end, actually, we ended up going with the capital allocator one. The audit is something that Griff and Phil are, I think that they're going to continue to explore as research, and maybe that's something that we treat as like later as some type of project that could be funded by the project by the Commons. So I think it's promising. I think it was I think it's good, and I think the thing I liked was that we got a lot of new stakeholders involved. I will pass it to you, Sean.
Okay. Yeah, good points, guys. Just an kind of meta observation is like often we're reflecting on process of how we're operating, but I noticed today it's actually not really reflection on process, but more just like updates across the board. And I think that reflects kind of how we started the new year, which is like, let's take a step back and reevaluate our situation, reevaluate our priorities, our goals. And so we're not really process focused right now. It's not about how we're doing things, but what we want to do and why. And so I think what I'm seeing on the board kind of reflects that position I'm in, or that we're in. And I think that's cool because it's all like higher level. We're all just taking this time to observe like where are we at with the TEC? What direction are we going to be going? Rather than worrying about how we're operating in the process. So I think this session today kind of stands out. Like usually we are reflecting on process, but it's good to take a little bit of time away from that, not worry about process, and just focus on the why and like what opportunities and what priorities we have. And that being said, there's lots of cool updates coming in, like the Octant grant, the communications with the Academy, the BCRG study session, the TE Content Hub, like EFRA picking up communications, locking in strategy. Like there's so many updates coming in, which is really exciting. And so it's nice to have this time to just get on the same page and everyone sharing. Because I didn't realize that so much stuff was happening until just being in this call. So happy about that. And I'll pass it. Bear, I'll pass it over to Bear.
Yeah, that's really nice, Sean. I really like how you frame it, and I also resonate with that a lot. And it's funny because yeah, I also before this I kind of like had the impression that it was kind of like a probably like a slower and a bit weird sprint. But now that you describe it, yeah, I think a lot of things actually happened, and a lot of really good things actually happened. So yeah, it's just good to see that in the board. And yeah, I shared everything that has been said. I also think that the initiative that Nate has been working on of the T Content Hub, I think it's probably something kind of like what you were saying, Sean, also at the beginning. It's kind of like low cost, low investment, but it can be high impact. I think if we do it well, if we're able to make this space and this initiative collaborative enough and align incentives across the participants, I think it can be like super interesting and might become like a really strong pillar for the TEC going forward. So just excited about that. Yeah, I just leave it at that. Tam, hello, welcome. I don't know if you
Hi.
have any comments on this part.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo something that YGG said about not really knowing all that happened until looking at this board. I feel like that every retrospective because we can't know everything all the time. And so, I mean, just looking at this board, there's like two or three things that I was like, oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. And so, yeah, I apologize for being late. And I actually really think that these retrospectives bring a lot of value to a team, even a team as small as this one. And then I would say, although I didn't write it down, but I think it was here. I think the good engagement on strategy discussion. I really think it was interesting that decentralized SDG was brought in. Griff brought him in, and you know, that was a little bit of like something for me to remember because Mark also sent a message to me, but it didn't occur to me to be like, hey, jump into the strategy meeting. So that's something that I think I need to remember. It's really nice to bring more, not outsiders, but interested parties that are reaching out about the TEC to sort of bring them more into this group and see how they can contribute. And the other thing that really came out of the TCAN meeting last week that really pleased me was Phil got really excited about something. And it wasn't the same thing that maybe everyone else thought was the right direction, but his excitement is leading to him participating actively in, you know, in the TEC in some way. And that actually also felt really positive. So I think from the last sprint, those are two things that I thought were really, really nice to see. And I'll pass back to you, Bear.
Nice. Yeah, totally agree. That's for sure. Okay, let's jump into the next section of the board. I'll set the timer for another 5 minutes, and we can start typing on things that haven't worked well or that need some improvement. Okay, let's start. All right, time's up. If people still need some more time, we can definitely do that. I see Sean still typing. But maybe if you're ready, Tam, would you like to start sharing something?
Yeah, sure. You know, there's two, at least two, about the grants, about the QF grant rounds. And, you know, one of them is like, wait, are we doing it? Like, I don't, because we don't really have the person who would be coordinating it. We probably aren't doing it, but I wonder if that's like a decision that we can make. And then the second is the past recipients that haven't been, I mean, the grant payouts that haven't happened yet. So I think, yeah, I think that is probably two things we could really do better. And then, yeah, I haven't read all the rest yet, but so that is just in terms of like missing resources or missing people who have ownership over particular pieces of what we want to achieve, I think is going to be really important for us to do in this next sprint. And I will pass to Gideon.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I think that the strategy process, the net result, I'm hoping will be really good. But it's we still haven't quite figured out how to do this in a way that doesn't just we just keep freezing. You know, the TEC just keeps freezing, and we'll go for, you know, this time hopefully it's just like a month or two, but that is not good for progress. So and the hard part here is I'm just not quite sure like what the actual solution is, given how small the team is. But it is something that I think we just need to be very careful about. I think that the question of the TQF, I'm not sure, Sean, if you wrote that, but I think it's a good point. It's like this pretty exciting thing that we have, and we just are not super clear about exactly what we want to do with it. But after going through the strategy process, it does seem like it is a pretty key asset that we have, and that we need to be more deliberate about how we use that, because it's pretty cool, and especially the tool that you've built, Sean. I will pass to Nate.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Gideon said. I think that, you know, feel kind of frozen a little bit, and I'm just hoping that, you know, the one critique that I do have of the process is we still don't know where the decision-making power is made for the TCAN and the coordination team in terms of the overall strategy. I feel like we have this kind of hybrid approach where it's like, yeah, both of the pathways are feasible, but we want to spend a little bit more time on the one that's a little bit more complex, which is fine. But in the meantime, there's a lot of things that we could be doing that we're not, because we haven't made a firm decision and committed in one direction or another. And so whether that be starting the hiring process for a person to take over TEGR, or just you know, upping our marketing right away. This is, you know, something that I think that needs to be cleared up this week if possible. And I would say that we need to distribute the funds. It's not a great look. We've had this problem in the past, and it's not good for our brand to have this type of thing hanging over our head. So to me, I think that is the number one priority. And yeah, outside of that, I'll pass it to YGG.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in for a minute?
Yes, go ahead, Tamara.
I'm so sorry. We haven't distributed the funds because we haven't received all of the funds, because I know that NT is still receiving the the contribution from Arbitrum. Is that the main reason, or is it a coordination reason? Is it a flow of funding blocker or a coordination blocker? I guess that's my real question.
Yeah, from what I see is that it's more of like they need to verify and make everything kind of legalese and all of that to send the payments. I'm not sure if we have received the funds or not, but my biggest critique for this is that we haven't been communicative with the applicants who have received funds about when their funds are going to be showing up or not. So it's one of those things that I feel like we should, at minimum, reach out to these projects to let them know and give them updates and stuff.
Yeah, good points, everyone. We have been waiting on the Arbitrum payment to come to us before we deliver that to grantees. And just in this call, like some things are simple in once you see them, but I mean, we could use common pool funds to distribute funding and then sort of replenish that later once we receive the Arbitrum. But I think it comes down to, I think it is, well, it's a bit of both. Tamara, you asked, are we really blocked by, say, getting the Arbitrum payment, or is this a coordination thing? I think it's both, because we have been pushing on the Arbitrum, and I know NT's been doing a lot, like you said, Nate, legalese and stuff like that to get that payment in. But at the same time, there might be ways of coordinating. Like, yeah, we might be able to just draw from the common pool and then reimburse that later once that Arbitrum payment comes in. So I think like communication loops could be key. Like I'm trying to think of what the core like, is there a core DM thread that is pushing this? I think it's the safe, the TEGP multi-sig. I actually, yeah. Yeah, so I actually just jumped to that thread. So NT is working on the Arbitrum compliance. But yeah, I'm wondering if we could just front the funds from the common pool and then replenish that later from when the Arbitrum funds come in and things like this. I find it's sometimes maybe it's challenging to do everything sort of async in threads, or that's also probably part of I could be better keeping up with threads, I think. But I wonder if there's a way of utilizing voice channels in like a higher frequency way where we can hop on and like hash things out in more streamlined ways without sort of, because like these calls only happen every 2 weeks. So if we wait 2 weeks before kind of working through blockers, like that's a pretty slow pace. So that's what I'm thinking about, is like, how can we have higher frequency communication and also clearer structures so we know where things are blocked. Maybe it's just utilizing our like the sprint board in better ways. Just kind of thinking out loud. But,
yeah, and I think those are all really.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Jen.
finish. I was
I'm
gonna
totally
say, I think
finished.
those are really good ideas and good points. But I also think that even if we do all of that, unless there's a person who owns it, it's almost doesn't matter. Because it's sort of like we could drop something in a message, but then it's like, well, who's going to do it? It's sort of, the question is like, who's going to do what when? And if there's one person who's sort of responsible for the grants, it was NT, and a lot of this I think is because NT has moved to Wonderland as a researcher, and so now there's sort of this like follow-up work that he would have been doing, but now it sort of is unowned. So like we all have to figure out who's doing what by when. So yeah, I guess that's it. I guess it's sort of like, is there one person who would pick this up and just make sure it's sort of quarterbacking it to the end? Or if we continue to sort of just try to like help in a, I don't know, more ambiguous way, which I think is not very successful way to do it.
I'm thinking that maybe this kind of like ties really well with the next section of the sprint, and because we have about 8 minutes, maybe we can just jump into some concrete actions that we can all suggest. Sean, maybe I think these are good suggestions for you to include here, and then maybe we can have a couple of minutes to discuss, or maybe even add owners, right? Because I do think that's a key point that Tam raises. Yes, hire. Yeah, I do think that. Yeah, that's one of the things we gotta take now. Okay, so I'll just set the timer for maybe 3-4 minutes, and then we can come back. Okay, so I don't see anyone writing. So maybe because we just have 4 minutes, maybe we can do just about a minute each. Or if you don't have anything particular to say, maybe you can just pass it around. Gideon, would you like to take it on?
Yeah. Yeah. The two that strike me, the strategy thing. I mean, we actually at the end of the call, Griff was pretty clear that it's like, okay, let's not focus anymore on the audit opportunity. That's not what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on the capital allocator and targeting optimism. So they're actually, it's just not everybody was on the call by the end. So that was pretty. I think that was pretty clear. He was the one who was pushing the audit one, and he acknowledged, let's not do that. But I do think that there's some confusion about that because Phil is still moving forward, and the way that I see this is that these are not incompatible. I think over the weekend I had this sense that basically what Phil is helping us to explore is how we turn this back into a commons so that people can use it as a platform to launch ideas and explore ideas. So, but that as a kind of a core strategy for what the TEC itself is doing, that's what we agreed on. So that I think is going to be very important for us to clarify that. That's going to take a little bit of time to do that, but I think that's good. And then hire. Totally agree. This has got to be the number one focus. I think we have an opportunity. There's a window over this next 9 months, and this is our shot. It's like really focus on that strategy and just do a great job of hiring some good people so that we can build this team up again. So yeah, that's what I see. I will hand it to you, Tim.
Pretty much the same. My understanding of what Phil is doing is more following, his own interest. I mean, sort of like, oh, okay, well, there was so much conviction that he had for this idea of token engineering audit or tokenomics audit that it seemed almost wasteful just to let it go. So the um, form for the query for the questionnaire for token engineering projects about whether they've thought about doing a TE audit or whether they would be interested in the TE audit and what they think would be valuable. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think his idea of like sending it out makes a lot of sense and getting some more data about that particular path, even if that's not the path that we go down. There's something very interesting about combining it with the capital allocation plan and having TE audits perhaps be a QF round or something like that. So it seems as if it's not conflicting with the current path and may end up either in a dead end or it may end up somehow complementing the capital allocation path. That was my understanding. And yeah, higher. I mean, one of the clear outcomes of the strategy was all of the strategic directions required a kind of promotional role. So people that can, a person that can promote, manage to get word out on social media's platforms. I also think we see there's clearly a role for someone to do this sort of Scrum Master role, someone to do sort of project management or program management and move things along and really be the person who's absolutely dedicated to that piece. And maybe that's the same person who does the grant coordination. There's probably enough work for one person to do those two things. That's it. I think a lot of load would be taken off, particularly Bear, if we can get some more support on this team for the initiatives that we want to achieve this year. I'll pass to YGG.
Yeah, I think that was really well said, Gideon and Tamara. I completely agree, and nothing really to add. I'll pass over to Nate.
Yeah, I don't have really much to add outside of that. I think that just getting people in the right spots and making sure that we onboard them and have provide good context for what these roles are supposed to be and what their jobs are supposed to do. Be focused on is something that's really important. And I think we can start with Ephra. This is something I think making sure that he is comfortable with the agreement that we have, that he's making sure that he's kind of leaning into his role with Twitter and social media stuff and communications and design, and then starting from there and moving on to new individuals.
Yeah,
But
those
I
those
will
are all
say
great.
somebody needs to own that as well, and so that's another issue too.
Yeah, no, definitely, those are all great, really great points. I also don't have much else to say. I agree with everything that has been said. Just to finalize the call, just a reminder that tomorrow we would be having our first team call on sprint planning week. So before the sprint planning, so maybe that's a good opportunity to be able to talk in more detail about some of these things that raised today. I think there are a lot of things to that we could use that time to talk about. So I'm gonna try to start putting together an agenda, um, and then I'll share it with everyone, and so people can also suggest agenda items that be like really appreciated based on what was commented here today. Yeah, we can try to do that work collaboratively. Yeah, and besides that, I think that's it. I think it was a good retro, a bit rushed at the end, but I think it was pretty good. So yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you, Nate, later at the comms call. YG maybe token utility, and yeah, I'll see the rest around.
Thanks, Bear. Thanks,
Thank you, Bear.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Bear.
Thank you. See you guys.